Okay, ma. Yesterday we are discussing about time response or time domain analysis for first order system and second order system. When you are given different inputs to the first order system, what are their responses? And also, when you are given impulse input to the second order system, what are their responses? We are having, when you are given impulse input to the second order system, when zeta is equal to 0, we are getting complex roots plus or minus j omega n. Then both the poles are located on the imaginary axis, and its output is C of t equal to omega n into sine omega n. When zeta is equal to 0. When zeta is less than 1, we are getting minus zeta omega n plus or minus j into omega n into square root of 1 minus zeta square. These are the roots when zeta is less than 1. The location of the roots is here and here. When you are calculating the time response and plotting the graph, we are getting like this. When zeta is equal to exactly 1, it is critically damped system. We are getting roots are minus omega n minus omega. The location of poles is here. Then we are getting the time response like this. When zeta is greater than 1, we are getting the roots minus zeta omega n minus the plus or minus omega n into square root of zeta square minus 1. One root is located here, another root is located here. Then the time response of the system is like this for overdamped system. Similarly, we are seeing when second order system is subjected to the help of step input. This is the order of the time constants for the impulse response. When second order system subjected to the step response, R of t is u of t, R of s equal to 1 by s. C of s equal to its transfer function into R of s, where R of s is 1 by s. That's why we are getting into s. When zeta equal to 0, we are getting the time response is 1 minus cos omega n. When you are plotting the graph, we are getting this curve. We are calculating the time domain specifications. When zeta is less than 1, when it is subjected to the step input. When it is subjected to the step input. Why we are calculating the time domain specifications only for underdamped system and it is subjected to the step input means the impulse signal is available only at time t equal to 0. The impulse signal available only at a time t equal to 0. But when you are going for as the t tends to infinity, the impulse input is not available. But when you are taking the unit step input, it will available even we are going for t tends to infinity. In order to find out the steady state response, we need to go up to time t tends to infinity. Now steady state error we are going to up to t tends to infinity. That purpose we are choosing the step input in order to calculate the time domain specification. Why we are choosing only this underdamped system only means if you are taking this undamped system, the time constant is infinity. And also if you are taking the critically damped system, its time constant is 1 by omega. It is having high amount of time constant, it is having very small amount of time constant. But in order to study the system, we are required some medium range of time constant. For the underdamped system only, we are getting the medium range of time constant. That's purpose we are calculating the time domain specifications for underdamped system. It is subjected to the step input. When you are subjecting the second order system into the step input, what are the time domain specifications? Here I am applying the step input is 1 by s, second order system is omega n square divided by s square plus 2s zeta omega n plus omega n square. Here I am consider the theta value in between 0 to 1. It is underdamped system. And finding the roots and calculating the time response, we are getting P of t is equal to P of t equal to 1 minus theta omega n t by this one. This is the time response of the system when second order system is subjected to the step input, where cos theta is equal to zeta, where cos theta is equal to zeta, otherwise tan theta is equal to square root of 1 minus theta square divided by theta. When you are obtaining the graph of output with respect to the time response like this. With the help of this output, we are obtaining the time domain specifications like delay time, rise time, peak time, and peak overshoot, finally settling time. These are the time domain specifications we need to calculate for the second order system when it is subjected to the step input. First one, what is the delay time? What is the delay time? So the delay time is defined as the time required to, it is the delay time, the time required to reach the response from 0 to 50% of its final value. 50% of its final value. Its final value C of infinity is 1, and consider the C of infinity value is 1. In order to reach the 0 to 50% of response, what is the time required is known as delay time. It can be calculated as TD is equal to 1 plus 0.7 zeta divided by omega n. With the help of this formula, we can calculate the delay time. In order to reach the time response from 0 to 50% of its final value, known as delay time, it can be calculated by using this formula, 1 plus 0.7 zeta divided by omega n. Similarly, what is the rise time? What is the rise time? Here we are having different types of systems, either it is undamped system or underdamped system, overdamped system, like this. When the system is underdamped, the time required to reach 0 to 100%. When the system is underdamped, the time required to reach 0 to 100% of its steady state value is known as rise time. When it is overdamped system, it is 10 to 90% of its final value. When it is overdamped system, it is 0.1, it is 0.9. In order to reach the 0.1 to 0.9, how much of time we are required? That is known as rise time. When it is underdamped system, 0 to 100% response rise, the time required is known as rise time. Let us see the definition. The time needed for the response to reach 10 to 9% when it is overdamped system, or 0 to 100% when it is underdamped system is known as rise time. Is known as rise time. It can be calculated by using formula TR is equal to pi minus theta divided by omega t. Pi minus theta divided by omega t, where omega d can be written as omega n into square root of 1 minus theta square. Omega d can be written as omega n into square root of 1 minus theta square, where theta is inverse of square root of 1 minus theta square divided by theta, or otherwise cos inverse of theta. When it is under overdamped system, the time required to reach 10% of its steady state value to the 90% of steady state value. If it is underdamped system, the time required to reach 0 to 100% of its steady state value is known as ice time. The next one is peak time. The next one is peak time. The time required to reach its peak value is known as peak time. The time required to reach its peak value is known as peak time. The peak time can be calculated by using formula Tp is equal to n phi by omega t. N phi by omega t, where n represents type of peak of the system. Suppose if you need to reach first peak, where n is 1. Suppose if you need to reach the first valley, then n is equal to 2. It is the first peak, it is the first valley. It is the second peak. During this case, we are having peaks of the response and valley of the response. First peak means n equal to 1. First valley means n equal to 2. It is the first peak. It is the first valley. Next is the second peak. Second peak during n equal to 3. For the second valley, n equal to 4. In order to calculate the time required to reach the first peak, it is pi by omega t. In order to reach the time required to reach second peak, then it is 3 pi by omega t. The time required to reach first valley is 2 pi by omega t. The time required to reach second valley is equal to 4 pi by omega t. The time required to reach its peak value is known as peak time. It is the time required for the response to reach its peak value at the first instance. First instant means it is the first peak. Suppose that if you are going for first valley, then we are substituting n equal to 2. Then we are getting the first value. This is the definition of peak time. With the help of this formula, we can calculate the peak time value. Next, what is the peak overshoot? What is the peak overshoot? Peak overshoot means it is the normalized difference between time response peak to steady state value. Normalized difference between time response peak to C of Tp minus C of infinity divided by C of infinity into 100. It is the normalized difference between time response peak to steady state value. When you are substituting those values, we are getting peak overshoot is equal to e power minus theta pi divided by square root of 1 minus zeta square into 100. This is the peak overshoot. Next, settling time. In order to reach the steady state, here the time response of the system reaches the steady state. Here, the final steady state value is 1. Before reaching the steady state value, we can accept the plus or minus 2% of its tolerance band. Plus or minus 2 to 5% of its tolerance band or allowance tolerance band. In order to reach this plus or minus 2 to 5% of tolerance band, how much of time we are required, that is known as settling time. Before reaching the steady state value, in order to reach the acceptance tolerance band, plus or minus 2% to plus or minus 5%, how much of time we are required, that is known as settling time. The settling time can be calculated. In order to reach the 5% of error, its settling time constant is 3 times of tau. 3 times of tau. Where tau is nothing but time constant. Here we are getting the roots are zeta omega minus zeta omega n plus or minus j omega n into square root of 1 minus zeta square. The time constant is nothing but negative reciprocal of its real part of dominant pole. Real part of dominant pole is minus zeta omega. Then the time constant is 1 by zeta omega. Now in order to reach the 5% of tolerance band, we are required 3 times of time constant means 3 by zeta omega. Similarly, in order to reach the 2% of tolerance is 4 tau, it is 4 by zeta omega. It is 4 by zeta omega. In order to reach the 0% of tolerance band, it requires 5 times of its time constant. It is 5 by zeta omega. The time required to reach 2 to 5% of tolerance band is known as settling time. These are the time domain specifications, definitions, and formulas. And what is the time period of oscillations? The total time period of oscillation is 2 pi by omega d. 2 pi by omega d. It is equal to 2 times of dp. Here we are calculating the time domain specifications for the second order system. It is the G of S having unity feedback system. When we are simplifying this one, we are getting the time second order system omega n square divided by S square plus 2s zeta omega n plus omega n square. 2 zeta omega. Now we need to calculate the time domain specification for given this problem, where G of S is equal to 25 divided by S into S plus 4 and H of S is equal to 1. It is a G of S having negative feedback with unity gain 1 plus minus H of S here we are given the input R of S, here we are taking the output C of S. Now we need to calculate the time domain specifications to the given unity feedback system. Now what is the transfer function for this one? It is G divided by 1 plus GH. When you are having the negative feedback, we are getting the transfer function is G divided by 1 plus GH. G is 25 divided by S into S plus 4, 1 plus GH, where H is 1. When you are substituting those values in this equation, we are getting 25 divided by S square plus 4S plus 25. It is compared with second order system, omega n square divided by S square plus 2S zeta omega n plus omega n square. Now what is the value of omega n? Compare these two equations and tell me what is the value of omega n. Omega n square is equal to 25. Now what is the value of omega n? Omega n square is 25. From this one, what is the value of omega n? It is square root of 25 equal to 5 radian per second. Now similarly, calculate what is the value of 2 zeta omega n. Here 2 zeta omega n is equal to 4. Substitute the omega n value is 5. Then it is 4 by 2 omega n. 2 times of 5 means 10 equal to zeta value is 0.4. Now calculate the time domain specifications. time domain specifications. First one is delay time. It can be calculated by using formula 1 plus 0.7 theta divided by omega n. We know the value of omega n 5, theta value is 0.4. We can calculate the delay time by substituting those values. Next, peak time. It is pi minus theta divided by omega d, where theta is nothing but cos inverse of theta, pi minus cos inverse of theta divided by omega d can be written as omega n into square root of 1 minus theta. This is the formula for peak time. Next, we need to calculate the rise time. It is, in order to reach the first peak, rise time is pi by omega d. Omega d is nothing but omega n into square root of 1 minus theta square. After that, peak overshoot is e power minus theta pi divided by square root of 1 minus theta square into 100. This is the formula for calculating the peak overshoot. Next, settling time, Ts. To reach the 5% error, we are required 3 tau, 3 by theta omega. Or 2% error means 4 tau, 4 by theta omega. By substituting all the values, we can get the various time domain specifications. This topic is important for our GATE exam also. If they given system like this, they need to calculate the either peak time or rise time or delay time. With the help of these formulas, we can calculate all the time domain specifications. Next, our next topic is steady state error. Steady state error. Here, the error is nothing but deviation of output from its input. Already we have calculated error E of t is deviation of output from its input, R of t minus C of t. The steady state error means as the time tends to infinity, we are calculating the error that is known as steady state error. At the time t tends to infinity, when you are calculating the error, it is known as steady state error. Steady state error is equal to limit t tends to infinity, E of t. Either it can be another name for it is final value theorem. Final value theorem. When you are converting this limit t tends to infinity, E of t into Laplace transform, limit s tends to 0, s into E of s. S into E of s. We can calculate the steady state error by using this form. As the t tends to infinity, E of t is equal to limit s tends to 0, s into E of s. As the time t tends to infinity, what happens? The error known as steady state error. Suppose if you are having a one system, g of s is equal to 10 into s plus 1 divided by s square into s plus 2 into s plus 1. For this system, I am given the input R of t equal to 10 plus 5t plus t square by 2. When you are applying this input to this system, we are getting some amount C of t. Now at a time t tends to infinity, I need to know about what is the deviation between its input and output. Means here we need to calculate the steady state error when I am applying this input to this system. In order to calculate the steady state error, we are going through this theory. The steady state error depends upon what type of input we are given. The steady state error depends upon what type of input we are given and also what type of system we are having. What type of system we are having. At the time of starting, the time response is nothing but summation of transient response and steady state response. The transient response depending upon system and steady state response depends upon what type of input we are given. But in order to calculate the steady state error, it depends upon both input and system. The steady state error has a limit t tends to infinity e of t. That is deviation from input to the output. When you are applying Laplace transform, limit s tends to 0, s into e of s. It is also known as final value theorem, where e of s can be calculated from this block diagram is r of s divided by 1 plus g of s. R of s divided by 1 plus g of s. By applying signal flow graph, E of s divided by R of s. Forward path gain is 1. It's having only one loop. That's why PH. When you are taking the unity feedback, H is 1. And from this one, E of s is equal to R of s into 1 by 1 plus G. The steady state error calculated for unity feedback system 1. The steady state error calculated always for unity feedback system 1. H of s is equal to 1. It depends upon its input and its what type of system we are having. We already know what is the type and what is the order of the system. Anyone can define what is the type? What is the type of the system? Suppose we are having one system like 10 divided by s square into s plus 2 into s plus 4. During that case, what is the type and what is the order? And consider one system 10 divided by s square into s plus 4 into s plus 2. What is the type and what is the order for given system? Type represents number of poles at origin. Number of poles at origin. We are taking the roots of this equation. We are having one pole located at 0, 0, another pole located at minus 2, another pole located at minus 4. So how many number of poles at origin? From these roots, how many number of poles at origin? Where type is equal to 2 and order is the highest power of s in the denominator. When you are multiplying this s square with s cube, this s cube multiplied with s, we are getting s power 4. Now the order is 4. Type indicates number of poles at the origin and order indicates the total number of poles or highest power of s. The type of the system determines steady state response and the order of the system represents transient response. Already we have discussed the steady state error depends upon what type of input we are having and what type of system we are having. Here input is nothing but we are given step input and otherwise ramp input or otherwise parabolic input. These are the standard inputs we are given to the system. When you are applying the unit input or ramp input and parabolic input at different types of systems. We are having different types of system means either first order system, sorry, it is type 1 system or type 0 system, type 1 system and type 2 system. The steady state error calculated to closed loop system only. When you are having the open loop transfer function g of s equal to 25 divided by s square plus 4s. When you are calculating the closed loop, it is g divided by 1 plus gh. It becomes 25 divided by s square plus 4s plus 20. We are calculating the steady state error for closed loop system only, and it is valid for only unity feedback system. Suppose if the given system not having any other than unity feedback, first of all we need to convert that system into unity feedback system. Then only we are calculating the steady state error. If non-unity feedback system is given, then it should be converted into unity feedback system. We are calculating the steady state error required to calculate it only in case of three cases. It is type 0 and step input. Type 0 means we are having no ports at origin. We are having a system like this 1 by s plus 4. Type 1 means 1 divided by, we are having only one pole at origin, 1 divided by s into s plus 4. Then type 2 means we are having two poles at origin, it is s square into s plus 4. The step input is t power 0, ramp input is t power 1, parabolic input is t square. Why you are consider only three cases means whenever the type is equal to input, type is 0 and input is u of t. U of t, it is t power 0. 0, 0. Type power and input power both are equal. Then only we are getting the error constant values. Error steady state error value is constant. If the type is greater than the input, suppose we are having type 1 system and we are given the unit step input, then we are getting the steady state error value is 0. Suppose we are having type is less than infinity. Suppose we are having type 0 system and we are applying ramp input t into u of t, where t power 1, 0 is less than 1, then we are getting the steady state error value is infinity. How can we justify these three conditions means, suppose we are having the standard system T of s is equal to k into 1 plus s tau 1 into 1 plus s tau 2 divided by s power n into 1 plus s tau a and 1 plus s tau b and so on. This is the standard form of system in time constant form. In time constant form, we are representing the system like this. Now, in order to calculate these constants Kp, Kv and Ka, these are the static error constants. Kp is nothing but limit s tends to 0, g into h of s, where g of s is equal to this one. Limit s tends to 0, g of s into h of s. First of all, I am consider type 0 system. Type 0 system means there is no poles at origin. Then s power n is, where n is 0 means s power 0, 1. Now in order to calculate the Kp value, Kp is limit s tends to 0, g h of s. H of s value is 1. When you are substituting the s equal to 0 in this equation, we are getting Kp value is 1. Kp value is k. Suppose we are having the type 1 system, then we need to calculate the velocity error constant. Velocity error constant. It is and it is applied to the step input Kp. When you are substituting the limit k s tends to 0 to the type 1 system, we are getting Kp value as limit s tends to 0, we are getting Kp value is infinity. We are increasing the second order system, again Kp value is infinity. Means as the order of the type of the system increases, its static error constant value becomes infinity. The steady state error value is, we are seeing this table. When you are having the type 0 system, the Kp value is finite when it is having the input u of t. It is t into u of t. It is t square into u of t. You need to remember this table. Whenever type is equal to input, we are getting the steady state error value is constant. Whenever the type is greater than input, we are getting the steady state error value is 0. Whenever the type is less than its input, we are getting the steady state error value is infinity. If you are seeing here, it is type 0. It is the input u of t. It is t power 0 into u of t. Its power is, type of the system is 0 and the unit input is also 0. 0 is equal to 0. We are getting the steady state error value is constant. It is a divided by 1 plus Kp. When you are given the unit ramp input to the type 0 system, we are getting the steady state error value is the type is less than its input. 0 is less than 1. That's why we are getting the steady state error value is infinity. Similarly, if you are applying the type 0 system to the its parabolic input t square by 2 into u of t. During this case also 0 is less than 2. We are getting the steady state error value is infinity. Suppose if you are having type 1 system, it is supplied with the help of unit step input. It is t power 0 into u of t, where type is 1 and its input is 0. Where 1 is greater than 0, that's why the steady state value is 0. When type 1 system is subjected to the unit ramp input, where 1 equal to 1, that's why the steady state value is finite value. It is a divided by k. Suppose if it type 1 system is subjected to the parabolic input, 1 is less than 2, the type of the system is less than its input, we are getting the steady state value is infinite. Based upon this concept, we can calculate the steady state error for standard step input, ramp input and parabolic input signals, where Kp is nothing but its gain. Kp, Kv and Ka are nothing but its gain when you are putting s equal to 0 in the given system. When you are keeping the s equal to 0 in the given system, we are getting the gains. You see one problem, you can clearly understand. Here I am having the system g of s equal to 10 divided by 10 into s plus 1 divided by s square into s plus 2 into s plus 4. Now what is the type of the system? What is the order of type? How many number of poles at origin? If you are taking the roots of this denominator, it is 0, 0, minus 2, minus 4. Now how many number of poles at origin? Anyone can respond. Number of poles at origin. Hello?
2, sir.
Number of poles at origin is 2. Now what is the order? Order. Total number of
4, sir.
poles. 4.
4, 4.
Okay. Here for the system I have given the input is 10 plus 5t plus t square by 2. First of all, I am given the input 10. It is 10 into t power 0 into u of t. Where type is 2, its input is 0. Type is 2, its input is 0. Whenever the type is greater than 0, what is the steady state error? If you are seeing this equation, type is greater than input, we are getting the steady state error value is 0. And its type is less than input, we are getting steady state value is infinity. When both are equal, we are getting steady state error value is some constant value depending upon its input, either it is a by 1 plus kpr, a by kvr, a by ka. Now the type is greater than the input. Now what is the steady state error? When type is greater than its input, the steady state error value is 0. If you are given the 5t input to the system, it is 5 into t into e of t. It is t power 1. Now type is 2 and input is 1. Again, type is greater than its input. Now what is the steady state error? What is the steady state error when the type is greater than its input? Now when you are given the ramp input t square by 2 into e of t, where the power is 2, type is 2 and input is 2. Both are equal. During this case, what is the time constant? Steady state error. In the previous case, what is the steady state error? When the type is greater than its input, steady state error value is 0. When the type is equal to infinite input, we are getting some finite amount of steady state error. The finite amount of steady state error is ESS is equal to, when you are given unit step input, we are calculating steady state error value is A by 1 plus kp for step input. But when you are given ramp input, the steady state error value calculated A divided by 1 plus kV. When you are given parabolic input, it is A divided by kV. Steady state error is 1 by A by kV. Now, here we are given ramp to parabolic input to the second order system. We are getting finite amount of steady state error, it is A divided by K, where Ka is nothing but limit s tends to 0, s square into g of s, where g of s is 10 into s plus 1 divided by s square into s plus 2 into s plus 1. When you are substituting the one into this one, 10 into s plus 1 divided by s square into s plus 2 into s plus 4. Here s square cancel. Substitute s equal to 0 in this equation. It is 10 divided by 8. It is 10 divided by 8. Now what is the value of a? The value of a is nothing but this is the multiplication of its input. Suppose if you are having 10 into t square by 2, 10 into t square by 2. During this case, a equal to 10. Otherwise, we are having 20 into t square u of t. Our standard form of parabolic input is t square by 2. That's why it is t square by 2 into 40. During this case, the a value is 40. But in the problem, we are taking only t square by 2. Its multiplication value is 1. That's why a divided by ka value is 10 divided by 8. Finally, we are getting steady state of the value is 0.8. When you are given this input to this system, we are getting steady state error value is 0.8. Similarly, you can solve these problems. For this given system, this is the type 2 system. For this system, I have given r of t equal to 10 into e of t input. Now, what is the steady state error? When type is equal to input, then only we are having the finite amount of steady state error. When type is greater than its input, steady state error value is 0. Type is less than its input, we are having infinity amount of steady state error. What is the input? It is 10 into t power 0 into u of t. 10 into t power 0 into u of t. Where input type is 2, input is 0. When type is greater than the input, during this case, what is the steady state error? Anyone can respond. As the type is greater than its input, 2 is greater than 0. Then steady state error value is 0. Similarly, when you are given 10 into t into u of t, its input is 1 and the order of the system is type of the system is 2. During this case, what is the steady state error? What is the steady state error? When type is greater than its input. As the type is greater than its input, again the steady state error is 0. Suppose when you are given 10 t square into u of t, the standard form of parabolic signal is t square by 2 into u of t. But we are taking 10 into t square into u of t. That's why it can be written as 20 into t square by 2 into u of t, where its multiplication factor is 20. Here the order of the input is 2 and the type of the system also 2. When type is equal to infinite, we are having certain finite amount of steady state error. That's value is when you are given parabolic input, it is a divided by ka. Ka is static acceleration constant, limit s tends to 0. s square into g of s. When you are substituting g of s in this equation, we are getting ka value is 20. A value is 20, K value is 1 by 20, 20 into 20. We are getting steady state error value is 400. Even if you are substituting 1 plus t into e of t, in both the cases, type is greater than its input. That's why the steady state error value is 0. But in this case, we are having t square by 2 into 2e of t. A value is 2 and Ka value is 1 by 20. Here we are getting steady state error value is 40. Steady state error value is 40 when you are given this input. This is the procedure to calculate the steady state errors. Suppose if you are having a non-feedback system, non-unity feedback system. Up to now we are calculating the steady state error for only h of s is equal to 1. If you are having the non-unity feedback system, then we need to convert that non-unity feedback system into unity feedback system by adding some plus 1 and minus 1. One positive feedback and one negative feedback with unity gain. Then it can be converted into unity feedback system. Then we can calculate the steady state error for this open loop system. This is the procedure to convert the non-unity feedback system into unity feedback system. G divided by 1 plus GH minus G. Our next topic is stability. So stability is defined as for a bounded input, the output must be bounded. It is the BI-BO condition. When you are given bounded input, the output must be bounded. If the input signal to the system is 0, the output must be 0 irrespective of its initial conditions. If you are not given any input to the system, even the stored energy elements, the energy stored elements like inductor and capacitors, having some initial storage energy, input is 0 means the output must be 0 irrespective of its initial conditions. Irrespective of its initial conditions. This is the definition of stability. When you are given the bounded input, the output must be bounded. If the input is 0, the output must be 0 irrespective of its initial conditions. We are having three types of stability concepts. One is conditional stable system, another one is absolutely stable system, third one is marginal stable system. So the conditional stable system is, here we are having the system gain K divided by S power n into something like this, 1 plus S tau A into, here 1 plus S tau 1 into like this. This is the standard form of open loop transfer function. The system is stable for certain range of K value. Suppose the system is range of from 0 to 100. If the K value exceeds this 0 to 100, the system becomes unstable. Means if you are given the bounded input, we are not getting the bounded output. The type of stability is known as conditionally stable. Conditional stable system. The system is stable for certain range of its system gain. That is known as conditional stable system. Absolute stable system means the system is stable for any value of K. Any value of K, that is known as absolutely stable system. Marginally stable system means When zeta equal to 0 for the second order system, we are getting omega n into sine omega t. It's having the damped frequency of oscillations like this. During this case, the poles are lying on the imaginary axis. When the system having constant magnitude and damped frequency oscillations like this, that type of system known as marginally stable system. Conditional stable system means it is the system stable for the certain range of system gain. Absolute system stable system means the system is stable for all the values of system gain. Marginally stable system means it's having constant magnitude and damped frequency oscillations, and the poles are lying on the imaginary axis. The type of system is known as marginally stable system. Here we can calculate the stability in time domain specifications and frequency domain specifications. In case of time domain specifications, we are using RH criteria and root locus techniques. But when you are going for frequency domain specifications, we are using Bode plot and polar plot and Nyquist plot. With the help of these techniques, we can calculate the stability of the system, either in time domain analysis or frequency domain analysis. These are the techniques we are having in order to determine the stability. These two techniques are used for time domain specification, time domain analysis. These are used for frequency domain. Here in case of stability concept, we are calculating the closed loop system stability. The RH criteria takes only characteristic equation for this closed loop system. The remaining all the cases we are taking only open loop system in order to determine the closed loop system stability. Generally, we are define the stability to the closed loop system, but RH criteria only takes closed loop system transfer function equation, but remaining all the cases we are taking the open loop transfer function equation and obtaining the closed loop system stability. There is the difference between RH criteria and remaining methods. In case of RH criteria only, we are considering the closed loop transfer function and obtain the closed loop system stability. But remaining all the methods, we are taking the open loop transfer function